I have things on my
And we're
face.
live! Welcome to episode 62 of the Crafty Boys. This week it was my pick, and I picked one that we could all find. After my first pick, I was poo-pooed, even though I could find it. We're picking the Bowen Island Artisanal. I call it Artisanal, but it's the Artisan IPA. But I didn't get it because I'm an idiot. So there you go. I just didn't get around to doing it today, and then I literally my better half walked in the door and she said, "Hey, let's have dinner." And I'm like, "Great!" I make dinner, and then I sit down to eat it, and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's 10 after 9." So I failed. I failed everybody. So, but that's okay because Dave and Alan picked it up, and they actually got it this time. Unlike Dave, who rarely gets the beer of the week. Because he's
Hey, I think we need to get some data on that particular allegation.
We'll go back through every single video we've ever done, all 61 of the previous episodes, to
Yes.
determine whether or not it is true that Dave's ability to get the beer that we select is out of his league. How's it going, everybody?
If people knew
Good, how are
lived, by
you?
the way, they would be okay with it.
Okay, that's awesome. I didn't hear a damn thing you said, so... all technical issues from last week have hopefully been rectified. I was about to say resurrected, but that's not what we want. I am all fancy
last
this
week's
week,
episode was a train wreck. Let's forget that last
but that
week
never
ever
happened. I don't know what you're talking about. Although I do have good news this week is that I'm now rocking a boom mic because that's how awesome I am. And I also found a store in town that sells them like ridiculously cheap.
Oh, really? Can you get me one?
They're $25 if you want one.
Yeah. Boom me.
So you can actually buy them online from their website.
All right, cool.
Which
We'll go through that after the show.
Yeah. So I was going to give you some information about the IPA. However, I went to the Bowen Island Brewery's website, and they have a really very big, for some reason, 1997 under construction message on their particular site today. So I'll have to rely on third-party sources, which means that it just leaves it up to the internet and Dave and Alan. So I forgot what I was going to say. So never mind. Moving right along.
All right. So do you want us to cover the beer?
I do, because I
All right.
can't, and I'm going to put the camera on you.
Okay. So it is the Bowen Island Artisan IPA, not artesian as introduced by Shane, but artisan. It is the message on the can says, "The longer the day, the more you'll appreciate sitting down to a tasty, golden English-style IPA." I didn't know there was any other kinds of IPAs, actually. They're all English-style, as far as I'm aware. That's why they're called Imperial Pale Ales. Oh no, India Pale Ales. But see,
Sounds like Imperial.
yeah, but the India Pale Ales, they were created. The reason why they were actually brewed in England, and they had to add extra hops to them so that they could survive the voyage to India for their troops in India, and that's how the India Pale Ale came to be, which is why India Pale Ales are extra hoppy. With a medium body, hoppy aroma, and grapefruit finish, it's one beer that's working just as hard as you, which is very nice.
Oh.
So I've done my pour already. This is the beer. It's very light looking. It's got a bit of a head. It smells like beer, and it tastes like beer. Does it taste like an IPA, like I would expect an IPA to taste? I'm going to go with a no. It does not have that sort of hoppy, almost sort of like bittery kind of flavor that you would expect from an IPA. And although it says on the can that it does have a grapefruit flavoring finish to it, I'm not getting enough of that to really call this an IPA. I would call this just a regular pale ale. Dave, what do you think?
I think it's got some of that IPA going on. I think because I'm not used to IPAs so much. For me, I'm noticing the hoppiness more.
I will say, I mean, if you compare this to a Fat Tug, let's say, if we could say that Fat Tug on the west coast of Canada is the benchmark for IPAs, this, if Fat Tug is a 10, and I don't know if it's a 10, but if it was a 10, I would probably rate this a 5 in comparison. Um,
Whoa.
Having said that, it's an interesting beer. One thing that was kind of nice about it is how inexpensive it is. It was only 8 something for a 6-pack. Um, so I mean, if you're looking for a budget drink, this might be the one for you. Um, it is craft brewed. I like that, and it's from Bowen Island. And Bowen Island is a small community on an island off of Vancouver. So I mean, it's always so good to support places like that, and they have other varieties as well. So I think we should. I think this is the first time we've ever done one for Bowen Island Brewery. We
I
should
think
maybe
so too.
try out
I thought we
some
had
of their
tried
other
another
stuff.
one, but I went back and looked through our archive and I couldn't find any. So
No, we have not done anything from Bowen Island before. So
yeah.
this is a good pick. It's not a bad beer, not a great one either. Great pick, Shane.
Why, thank you. I certainly am glad. Sorry, I was trying to help Locke here. Locke had connected to our podcast. However, he's gone again, so I don't know what's going on there. So basically, I know that Dave, you're not much of an IPA man, but give me a. I want you to give me a face. I want you to give me. Give us the face that you would make if somebody said, Dave, here is $1 billion, all for you, tax-free. Give me that face. Okay, now give me a face of the only beer that you can ever drink ever again. And by the way, the only thing you can drink is beer, so no more ginger beer, you wuss. Give me the face of somebody who has to drink the IPA as you are drinking at the moment. Okay. All right. That's all you need to know. I just was trying to get some emotion out of you there, man, because it's really hard there in Colwood. God, Colwood.
Colwood.
Although just as bad.
Nothing wrong with Colwood. It's a nice area.
There's nothing wrong with Colwood. What are you talking about? And I'd ask Locke the same question of, hey, how's the beer tasting? But I don't see or hear him. Locke, are you there?
I don't think he's there.
Nope, he's not there. Not at all. And
Okay,
as
Jeez.
I'm sorry, I don't know what Alan is doing, but I'm following along all of a sudden now. What is he doing? I don't understand. I am an innocent. I am so smart. I am David. So, I got completely bamboozled there. So anyway, in news this week, one story in particular that I think is kind of interesting is over here, and I forgot to send you guys the link, so here it is right here in the back channel. Essentially, this is a very interesting little article about whether or not beer, when being discussed, why it now belongs at the same level of wine, because the whole article is about how fine dining has always been associated for many, 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 many years of having been associated with wine. Now, of course, with the explosion of all the craft breweries and beer becoming a harder science in a lot of ways, that this particular attitude is going to change, where fine dining will also include a local craft beer. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think that about this whole change of attitude, which is coming slowly, but is definitely being talked about now in a couple of different ways. So go ahead.
Well, one thing I thought was kind of interesting. I was watching a movie. I think it was Major League, which came out in like the late '80s, or maybe it was the early '90s, about professional baseball players playing for the Cleveland Indians.
I just watched that a couple of months ago.
Did you?
Again.
And there was that one part where the what's the name of that actor? The guy who played like the old hardened veteran who was like had his last. Was it
he was
was
the
it Tom
catcher.
Berenger?
Yeah, Tom Berenger. Yeah, he was the catcher.
Yeah. Is that Tom Berenger?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the Tom Berenger character, he goes to like a snooty party somewhere, in uptown or whatever, and they ask him what he would like to drink, and he asks for a beer. And they all kind of look around at each other, with their eyebrows raised and everything. Oh, he wants a beer. Oh, how
Yes,
droll.
I remember that scene. That was actually that always made me mad.
Yeah. So they get him a beer, and he drink, and then they start asking him what he does, and he says, "Oh, I'm a professional baseball player." And it's like they all kind of like, "Oh, how interesting."
Wasn't there one of the snooty guy's wives there, and she was like, a baseball player? Oh well, and wasn't she interested in him at that point?
I think maybe, but it was sort of like more that she was into slumming or something,
Well, that too. I mean, she felt it was kind of. I mean, that's what that whole baseball.
I mean,
is about.
Now, I mean, attitudes are completely changed. I mean, if you've got a snooty party and you've got like a professional ball player walking in, well, they're all over him, right?
Sure.
Because I mean, frankly, the professional ball player is making more money. And if they ordered a beer, it wouldn't be a strange sight.
No, definitely not. I mean, the thing I like about this is that because I've now done 3 different brews myself. I have done a brew of the IPA that I made. I also did, just recently last week, I did a brew of an Imperial Stout. And then right after that, we did, I guess, a brewing of cider, where we took a lot of cider. We took a lot of apple juice, some pure apple juice, not from concentrate, and are fermenting it right now, which is sitting 20 feet to my right. Happily, I can see it just bubbling away very quietly. So I just bottled the stout, and I'll be bottling the cider probably in 2 or 3 days. And I have to say that my own attitude has changed, because sometimes I do sort of look down on beer myself. Usually it has a can that says Lucky on it, or Labatt's Blue, or Kokanee, or Budweiser. So the times that I have actually looked down on beer, it's usually those sorts of really watery lagers that people like. And for some reason, I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why they like that beer. So, I gotta say that I really particularly, I'm enjoying the fact that beer is now, because I've put some work into making some, and I mean, granted, it wasn't like I was not doing some sort of advanced thing. I was doing very much brewing beer as if it were 1802, where I could not control temperature. I could not control a lot of the factors that normally a brewery does. So I don't know. But I'm still making the same, fermented fruit / fermented grain, drinkable thing that we all love to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I will point out in the not the IPA, the stout that I've made, I forgot to do a step. I was supposed to, apparently, before bottling it, I was supposed to add more water to the mix, just to give it some more volume and not so thick.
Really?
I forgot that part. I've
never heard of that.
Well, it's for the particular recipe that I'm using. But I forgot that step. so I bottled everything, and they were like, "Yeah, so did you add another 4 liters of water or whatever it was? It wasn't a lot." And I said, "No, I totally forgot." And they're like, "Wow, that's gonna be some amazing beer." So apparently, and I did a gravity test, because when you first brew, you can take your hydrometer and you can actually get a rough estimate of what the alcohol content might be. So once fermentation was finished, uh, I I was afraid to, because the first test that I did said that the beer might be like 13%. So I suspect it won't be that high, but it might fall somewhere around 11. So who knows? We'll find out. I will, once I've let them sit in their bottles for another week or two. I'll do another test.
I'm gonna go with 8.
It probably would be closer to that. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell. So, I'll do another test
I call
and see
9.5.
what. Sorry?
I call 9.5.
9.5. Okay. All right. Then we've now. Hang on.
Yeah, we're taking a pool.
Taking a pool now. I've got my my trusty thing here. So Dave is calling 9.5%. Alan
8.
is 8%. There we go. I'm gonna go with I'll go with 7, just because that's, on the other end, and I'll win if it's lower. So there you go. But I was surprised when I took that first gravity test. I was like, I don't actually know how much this is going to be. And the people that were making it were like, yeah, no, it should hover around about 8, 9, somewhere in there. And I'm like, it's 11. They're like, oh, the liquid is still warm. So I did it again, leaving it overnight to cool off, and it was still at the same spot. So who knows?
Oh.
So there we go. So I've now written it down. We have officially Dave at 9.5, Alan at 8, and myself at 7. Unfortunately, Locke has tried to join a couple times. I don't know what his problem is there. He's having some issues, obviously. But so I've got another article here, boys and girls. First, we're talking about how amazing. What was that? I know that sound.
We're going to do another one here.
I wanted to show you this little article here, guys. A very short one, but I thought it was very cute. A gentleman in Austria has been collecting bottle caps, and he has collected just over 10 million bottle caps. He says that most of them that he's collected have come from other people. He is not responsible for having drank that much beer. But essentially, he started doing this 5 years ago. 5 years ago? Yeah, 5 years ago. And his collection is now, and this is why I thought it was kind of interesting. His collection grew to weigh 18 tons.
Wow.
Made up of just all these bottle caps. So
are they all unique?
I don't know. He doesn't go into specifically what kinds of things. But
like, it would kind of suck if they were all like Fosters.
Oh God, could you imagine? I've actually had a Foster's, and I'm like, wow, why does anybody drink this? But again, it's the Australian version of Kokanee and or Canadian. God, I hate Canadian.
Probably Canadian.
God,
yeah.
it's awful.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out, and then he eventually, just this year, sold his collection to a metal collector, and the money was donated to a needy family in his hometown. So I thought that was kind of a cute little story.
Hey, can you still get Fosters here in Canada? I don't know that I've seen it. You know, it's not that I've gone looking for it, but now that I think about it,
I have no idea. I'm just looking at the liquor store, and I don't see it anywhere. So apparently not. But again, it just might not be at the BC liquor store. So my other story here is this one, which is from Adweek, which came out just today, and this is a marketing ploy. Excuse me, by Beck's, where they're attaching a fisheye lens, or a 365-degree lens, as they're calling it. 360-degree lens, as a bottle to their bottle caps of some of their beer. And apparently this thing, it's a camera in itself, and it takes photographs, and you can actually use it with a with your camera. Sorry, not a camera. With your phone. And allows you to take like 360-degree photographs using your own phone. So they're calling it cap cams, and they also have a Facebook app and a bunch of other stuff. But it was kind of interesting just that it's the first time that I've seen in a while where a beer company is actually sending out something useful with their beer. There's been a couple things where we had in Vancouver here a few years ago. If you bought a mixer of Granville Island beers, you got free tickets to a Canadiens baseball game. There's also been, companies throwing in like bottle openers with their logo on it and things, stuff like that. And I just thought this was kind of a neat one. Not something that I would be very excited about myself, but again, I don't know. It just looks kind of neat. And if you're gonna hold it over, put it on the lens of your phone, and you can take funky photographs, then hey, more power to you, which is kind of neat.
That's actually kind of cool. Like, I don't usually go into gimmicks like that.
Yeah.
But I would certainly, I'd buy that just for that cat cam, and then I'd give away the beer to a needy family.
So I don't know. That's and there's only one more story for this week, which is something we talked about a little bit last week, but because of the incredible,
I couldn't remember if we did.
We started to, and we didn't really get into a huge amount because we were more interested in what my voice sounded like. But this is the one for the SodaStream. And full disclosure, I hate the SodaStream idea. I think it's dumb. And I just don't get it. However, I now love it because you can make instant beer, which is also terrifying.
Yeah. Terrifying in a number of ways. So essentially, if anybody out there who knows what the SodaStream is, SodaStream has released in Germany and Switzerland a product called the Beer Bar. It's their SodaStream. It's exactly the same SodaStream that you buy here, but it comes with concentrated beer with the alcohol in it, and you add the beer concentrate to your fizzy water that you've created with the SodaStream, and you have instant beer. No idea if it tastes any good. You know what? I'd try it. I'd be interested in trying it just to see. You never know, right?
I would try it. I mean, it's not something I would think would make good beer, but again, I don't know. Maybe you can pull it off. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, let's take beer and dehydrate it, and then it'll be great. And it's like, well, not so much. I don't know, Dave.
Well,
oh my God! Wait a minute, Dave, hold that thought. Welcome to Locke. Locke is finally connected after about 9 attempts.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can actually hear and see you now.
Nice. Okay, good.
We could not see you before. It was only a little logo.
Yep.
Sorry, Dave. Finish your thought. Sorry, man.
Right. I was saying I wouldn't buy the machinery. Locke, we're talking about the SodaStream beer bar, by the way.
The
Just
which
so you know.
one?
The beer bar SodaStream. There should be a link up in the.
Oh.
Well, he won't have it.
Here.
I just sent it to him.
Anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a beef with the SodaStream, although apparently there's questions about the ethics of SodaStream as a company. I'm not sure why, but that's just what I've heard. But that's a whole nother discussion. I would certainly try this. Why not? But I wouldn't buy the machine.
No, not at all.
Somebody had it, said, "Hey, here's a glass. Give it a shot." Then sure.
I mean,
I
for
would.
me, we already have the machine for pop. Um, so if I could just buy like the beer concentrate separately, just to try it out, I mean, I'd be all over it. I'd try it. I'm not thinking that I would like it, but I'd give it a whirl.
So when you say concentrate, that's what, syrup with alcohol? Is that what the concentrate is?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's like
Be-
it's
I'd
a
be
beer
interested in trying
concentrate
it on its own.
with the alcohol in it. Huh?
I'd be interested in trying the syrup on its own, just to see what it's like.
Yeah,
You know, it's soul. What can I say?
yeah. I don't know. You know what? I sense disaster with the whole thing. It'd be interesting. They say they're selling it in Germany and Switzerland. I would be interested to read some reviews from people in those countries.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything, which tells me that it's maybe not all that popular.
It's true. I have a suspicion that it's probably low on the experience list for people that actually, like to drink real beer. But again, you never know. Maybe it's the future of beer. Maybe we'll all be doing it at some point. Screw brewing at home. Screw breweries. Just put a
And maybe the
plastic
only
bag in it.
restaurants left will be Taco Bell or something.
Hey, Dave, do you learn how to use the 3 shells yet?
That's what.
Yes. Actually, no, I've only managed 2.5 so far. So
2.5 shells? Oh man, that must be just a disaster. So Locke, we've actually been talking about a few little articles here and there, but how has your week been, sir? What have you been up to? I know you've been traveling since you traveled last week. You and I hung out a little bit on the weekend. How's your week been?
Well, it's been really good. So let me say a couple of words about my trip to Portland. Okay, so as a Vancouverite / Victorian, I sort of, like, I had been to Portland like years and years and years ago, but not since I discovered beer, and certainly not since the craft beer revolution. So when I went down there, I was going there with an impression of the place based on the product as it appears in stores in Canada, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so up here, when you see, your Portland breweries all sort of side by side in the cooler, they all seem about the same size. They all seem about the same level of penetration. They all seem to be the same type of operation. When you're actually in Portland, it's amazing how much further ahead Deschutes are in terms of the overall picture than all the other contenders. Deschutes really do rule the roost there. The actual brew pub, the pub itself, aside from being enormous, which is to say that it's a very big room, it's also a very pretty room with lots of custom carved wood. Mm. And when I say custom carved wood, I don't mean it's sort of like, hacked away a bit. I mean like highly, highly detailed, polished wood, as just a decorative element, right? Which speaks of the place's commitment to quality, right? The food was fantastic. I focused in on, I wanted to try everything, so I did a couple of different flights of things, including their Brewer's Choice flight. Far and away the most outstanding beverage I had while I was there, one that sort of was like, oh wow, I wonder if this will end up in bottles, was a thing. It was a tribute to Prince called Never Satisfied, And wow, big multi-medium sort of piece with sort of bitter and bright hops sort of on the outside, kind of if you see what I mean. Like, it was sort of flavors wrapped in flavors, which Deschutes are known for. Their inversion IPA, for example, starts off tasting really hoppy, but it's got a malty finish, right? That's why it's an inversion. So yeah, overall, my impression of them has gone up substantially. I no longer think of them as a Portland brewery. I now think of them as sort of a leader of the pack. Rogue, however, made an absolutely substantial impression in two ways. One, the guy serving me was absolutely 3 sheets to the wind, gone, drunk out of his mind. I'm sure that in the flight that I ordered, he actually got one of the beers wrong. Which is fine. It was tasty. So I kind of identify it based on what had been on the sheet before. So it was okay. Standing out there was Old Crustacean. We've got a thing called Old Crustacean, and it's kind of a barley wine sort of event. You know, sort of. It's got those funky sort of basement kind of flavors, you know, like those kind of beverages do. Pine drop. So pine drops. No, that was Deschutes. They had a pine one there as well that was pretty good. And of course, I tried, you know, sort of the classic beverages at every place, and of course those impressed. You know. Rogue's Dead Guy. I had that fresh out of the tank. That was impressive. Actually, probably the best thing I had out of Rogue was a thing called Fresh Roasted, and what it was a beer made with malts that had been roasted, as they claimed on the sheet, something like 200 feet from the vats that they went into. So that's about as fresh a roasted malt as you're going to get. And could I taste it? Actually, yes. Yes, I'm pleased to tell you that I could taste it. It really is. It was sort of like, if beer sometimes tastes a little bit like bread, this was like fresh toast. It was really good. I finished my trip at a place that's just on the other side of the water. So Portland's a river city, right? It's a river port, called Hair of the Dog, and they had some pretty killer drinks. They specialize in sort of very high alcohol, aged kind of products. I couldn't afford any of the really sort of, you know, like they have small bottles that are like, you know, $30. I didn't go with any of those. I went with some fairly standards. They name their beers really generic names like Fred and that kind of thing. So that was sort of a source of amusement. What was funnier still is the way I discovered the place was through a failed attempt to get entirely somewhere else, and exiting off the I-5, I ended up smack dab in front of them, and I was hungover out of my mind. It was a heat wave in Portland. The sun was way too bright, and I see this place called Hair of the Dog, and I'm thinking to myself, saved. So I park, go in. I'm thinking I'm gonna keep this modest because, you know, like, I am driving and stuff. So I didn't drink a whole lot while I was in there, but I needed to order some breakfast. So I was looking at the menu and I saw duck wings, and I'm like, ooh, yeah. And I don't know if any of you know this about me, but I get a little weird about duck as a protein. Like, when I see duck, I'm like, yeah, duck. It's got to be duck. And so if there's duck on the menu, I'm going to order it right away. I didn't think twice. There's duck. I will have the duck, please. I missed the habanero part. This was, when I say duck wings, I mean these things weren't, I was hoping for something that was sort of like effectively a dryish sort of fried duck experience, or maybe a barbecue duck experience, but something that you could kind of chew on. No, sautéed to the point where it was falling off the bone, and utterly, utterly soaked in habanero peppers. And so, as I stuck these things in my mouth, the combination of bright sunlight and swallowing something that is angrily lashing out at my throat and innards as it goes down. It was, well, but all said, an awesome Portland experience. I recommend anybody that cares about beer, go and have a look. Give it a try.
I sense a road trip coming on.
Yes.
So, Dave.
Yeah, baby. I'd want to do a Grim tour.
Mm-hmm.
A Grim tour?
Yeah. Haven't you watched it, Mr. TV?
No. What is a Grim tour?
Grim is a show that...
Seriously? The TV show? Grim?
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
Shane hasn't had cable in a long time.
I'm Shane. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a first. I have stumped Shane on fucking television.
That
That's
is markedly surprising. How did you do that? That was good. You gotta teach me to do that. Whatever you did to find that thing that Shane didn't know about on TV.
Just a second before we go any further.
Here's
Lockhart,
a
what are you
my
drinking?
friends.
I'm drinking what you're drinking, Artisan IPA.
Okay, tell me. So we've had comments from myself and Dave. Tell us what you think.
I would say this is sort of more between an IPA and just a regular pale ale, but is it tasty? Yeah, it's tasty. Part of it is it's not as hop forward as what you would be expecting for a beer company, this far west, really. Now that said, totally drinkable, and the price was right. I mean, excellent value for money, I would say. But yeah, I would say this is more competition for something like Okanagan Pale or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Or Pipers out of Vancouver Island. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
In fact, I would say that it tastes almost identical to a Pipers.
It's an interesting comparison. Yeah, I mean, been a while since I've had a Pipers, but it's about that kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it sounds like you're thinking very similar to me on this beer.
Now, here's something I noticed while I was picking it up, though. I got this at Legacy in Vancouver, who are, admittedly, they're a merchant that, their style of operation is to try to have a really, really exciting selection, and really broad. So they do what they can to try to carry a huge variety of stuff. But when I was in their cooler room picking this up, I was glancing around at what's in the coolers at Legacy, and it brought me back to a comment that I'd heard from my friend Allie on the island that she picked up while she was in Philadelphia for the annual Brewers Convention. Somebody had told her, and she was sort of not sure what she thought about this, that the age of the Big Bomb might be coming to an end. That is to say, the 750, big bottle. as the sort of the standard for craft beer. And the reason I say this is because as I was glancing around the cooler, I was seeing, six packs of cans and bottles from just about every major player in terms of, niche product, if you see what I mean, like craft beer rather than big beer. I was seeing something in that format for just about all of the the ones that you would normally find in the big bombs, which is to say that there may be something to.
Well, we maybe have lost Locke, but going on what he was saying, I don't know if the bomber bottle is going to die in BC anytime soon. I think it's kind of here to stay until such time that private liquor stores, like say Legacy, could have growler fill stations. When a private store like that can have like a lineup of say 30 to 40 beers with a growler fill station, you bring in your empty growler and you fill it up on site and pay for that, then I can see the bomber bottles dying out. But until then, I don't think so.
Yeah, the thing with the bomber is you can stock a hell of a lot more than you can if you're forced to carry 6-packs, right?
Well, it's true, and you know what? I mean, we were talking earlier about how beer has kind of gone into the same sort of world as wine, as having connoisseurs and all that. And I think what has helped that is the fact that it's now being sold in bomber bottles, which is sort of like, it almost has the same dimensions as a wine bottle. Whereas, if you buy like a 6-pack of cans that have like these little plastic rings around them, I mean, that looks pretty trailer parkish. Just my thoughts.
Not to mention that it's terrible for wildlife, so
Yeah.
yay bombers.
Yeah. Oh, I think the bombers are here to stay. For now.
I like bombers.
Locke.
They work for me.
How much of that did you catch?
I caught all of it.
Good.
So I had commented on it, and I'm not going to repeat it, but we can. Basically, I'm just saying I think.
I'll watch it later.
I'm thinking here in BC, the bomber bottles are here to stay until such time that private liquor stores can fill growlers.
Mm.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. I think we've covered it all this week.
I think we have, especially after we recovered from last week.
Yeah.
And Locke was here too, which is even better. So, any final words from anybody? Dave, Locke, Alan, anything?
Nope.
Nope.
Not for me.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Sorry.
Good luck. Don't suck.
Oh, and Alan, you actually had some choice final words for us this week.
Oh, that's right. Well, after everybody says their goodbyes and everything, I'll say the final word.
I honestly, I think we don't need to say anything after what Locke said about good luck and don't suck. So there you go. There's our new outro.
Okay. Help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.